A beautiful Tuesday morning. It is time for entertainment, which means it is time for the bookworms. Now, the book that we are sitting down with today is a book that we managed to speak to the author about, but it is always great to get the perspective of a reader, somebody who has read it, because the author has what they have in mind, but we always know what we derive from these things. So I'm sitting down with our resident bookworm, Audrey, and she is just going to take us through Starfish Blossoms by Samantha. Hi.
Hi, Candice.
How are you?
Good. I missed you last week.
I missed you too. It was terrible. But I promise we will be more consistent. Anywho, let's get to this because we don't have much time. So Starfish Blossoms, we did get to sit down with Samantha when she was around, which was great. But from a reader's perspective, what is this book about?
Okay. I think, first of all, Samantha is an amazing writer. I also like the fact that she's resident in the UK, but born in Zimbabwe, in Masvingo. So she embraces her roots, her dialect, Chikaranga. So you find in this book, she will put words of Shona and things like that. And it just resonates with me, being a Zimbabwean reader. Yeah, so I love the book.
Now, you know, I like that you mentioned that fact that she's living abroad, but she still connects very deeply with who she is and who she was born. How do you think this book is a great read for someone in the diaspora, for example, in terms of just trying to reconnect with who they are back home?
Okay, so like you find in her poems, there's one where she was 9. She talks about her dog called whatever, Chero in quotes. So someone in the diaspora or wherever they are, they can resonate with what happens in Zimbabwe. In the one poem, she talks about her grandmother, you know, the lessons that she got from her grandmother. She talks about, also there's one about suicide, and the reader can actually really get what this person was feeling when they went through that process. So in a nutshell, she just makes you connect with your roots.
For me, I think going through this book, one of the great things about it was that strong sense of identity that kind of then also forced me to rethink who I am and say, oh, but you know, she's proud of who she is. Why can't I be proud of who I am as well? You know, embrace where I am supposed to be, embrace my culture, embrace the language that I speak, for example. And a lot of our Zimbabweans in the diaspora say they struggle with this especially for their kids. So you talked about her talking about when she was 9 years old and she's talking about her dog. How could this possibly help Zimbabwean parents abroad help their children just find that sense of identity of who they are?
Okay, so you find that if you just to Google Samantha, she's all over social media. She has book readings, she has poetry sessions, some in Shona, some in English. So for that parent who's in the diaspora, I mean, obviously they can't connect in physical form to their home country, but just having their kids go through Samantha's stuff will just do a whole lot of difference to their children.
And let's bring it back home. You know, that sense of, oh, I can relate to that. You know, when you're sitting back, sometimes you're reading a poetry book, for example, and you kind of feel like there's little strings of an inner poet in you that you find over the piece of paper wanting to. Is this not a good way for us to just also discover that side of ourselves?
You know what? Can I tell you a secret? When I was doing literature in A-level, I used to hate poetry.
Really?
Yes, I actually found it boring. But you know what? Of late, I mean, having listened to our own local poets and even Samantha, I just find myself, you know, just resonating with that poetry. Yeah. It's so deep. And I like Samantha's style in the sense that she's not your usual, you know, rhymes and all that. In the one poem, she can be like telling a story, you know, whichever form. And then in the one poem, she can then be doing the rhymes and all that. So she's just so diverse and so broad, which makes it very interesting. I promise you, I started this book and I finished it in one day.
And I can believe that. The same thing happened with me. So I totally believe that. Why is it a good read for anybody who's looking for something to pick up and, of course, maybe just go through and finish in like a day, for example, like you're saying?
Okay, so it's not even about, obviously there's that African identity, but even for people who are not African, they can just resonate with what she's talking about because she talks about the complexities of human relationships. So whichever color you are, you all go through that. She talks about pain, she talks about happiness, joy. So all these emotions, they're in that book.
In this book. Audrey, thank you so much for sitting down with us. We were talking about a Starfish Blossoms. Where can we get this book?
Okay, locally, Book Fantastics, they have the book. They're a mobile bookshop, by the way. There's also a place...
Which means they come to you. Have no excuses.
100%. There's another bookshop in Bulawayo, Amazon online, and then Barnes & Nobles, that's in the UK, and all the other established bookstores overseas. She managed to get this book in.
Wow.
Well done to her.
Wow. That is, yes, definitely well done to her. And of course, again, we mentioned the book is Starfish Blossoms by Samantha Vazhure. Please make sure you do check that out as soon as you can. It is an amazing book to read, and even just a light read. If you're on a journey, if you're going somewhere, it will take you through a whole series of emotions that you sometimes need to reconnect with because we run away from them. But